Welcome, everyone, to our Power Thinking, Rejuvenating Your Amazing Mind training for Wednesday, February 11, 2026. Boy, time's flying. Middle of February already. And this is our 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time edition. I'm your moderator, Stanley Green. Always a pleasure to do this. We've been doing this now, these calls for 7 years, over 7 years. And it's amazing how I don't get tired of this. I look forward to every Wednesday. Every Wednesday is another opportunity to help us to build these absolutely essential, not soft skills, nice to know stuff, the fluffy stuff, but essential skills to help us bounce back from life's adversities. And so the goal is so we can retrain our brain so that when that adversity hits, not if, but when it hits, no matter what form, that we are able to stay calm, to bounce back from that setback much faster than the average person. And for many people, as a result of having these, being equipped with these skills, they can avoid a situation where now they have a major setback where they're really depressed. So we're here, and we're focused today on the essential skills to turn business failure into success. So this is a focus on business today, and love to get your thoughts about this. Have you witnessed businesses that were on the brink of failure, may have failed a few times and may have pivoted, and ultimately they became a success? We know the story of Colonel Sanders, for example, who was trying to market his secret recipe for what is now Kentucky Fried Chicken, and just failure after failure after failure. No, and then finally caught on. But he was over 65 as this was happening. And had many failures in the past. So love to get your thoughts about that, and love to get your thoughts about whether you feel that what we are reinforcing every week with our inner strengths and skills of resilience will be helpful. So the video is called Founders on Tough Early Days. That was Calendly. They focused on a few companies, Calendly being one of them, which is a major company. But, most of these companies have had, setbacks and times when they didn't know if they were going to be able to keep it going. They didn't know if they would be able to meet payroll. They may have had to pivot, but they were able to make it. It doesn't guarantee that they'll continue to be in business. So love to get your thoughts about that. And I want to introduce to all of you my special co-host for today, brand new Power Thinking mobile app user, Joy Langley. And Joy is joining us from the UK. She's one of our few UK members, and we have others from other countries as well. So Joy, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being a Power Thinking app user and for joining me as a co-host today.
My absolute pleasure, Stanley. I know that it's really early in the morning for some people, but it's early afternoon for me, so I'm awake.
Good to have you. And Joy is an EQ coach and a therapist. Joy, can you tell folks a little bit about yourself and your upbringing in the UK, and then how did you become a therapist and why?
Right, that's a long story, Stan. So I'm going to have to like just condense that. But
Sure.
yes, I'm an emotional intelligence coach and a therapist, and I've been doing that for about 15 plus years now. I retrained in my early 40s and studied psychotherapy, 4 years of training. So I'm an accredited therapist in the UK, and really and truly, my entering the therapy space was because I wanted to do something that I loved. I'd spent a lot of time working for other companies and got very depressed, got very anxious. I just wasn't happy. I just wasn't happy at all. And I managed to start a business up with an ex-partner in the music business. And I just loved every minute of it, but we never made any money. So I kind of thought, well, I'm going to retrain in my 40s, but I'm going to do something which can become something I can take into my golden years. And therapy was the thing that I chose. So I've enjoyed that. And emotional intelligence is something I add on top of that. And living in the UK is an interesting place to live, but everywhere is an interesting place to live. I feel very fortunate for being in a country where I have access to opportunities, especially to start businesses. So that's a very quick intro, Stan.
Yeah, great. Well, tell us your perspective, right off the bat. And we had a discussion a little earlier, and while you're a Power Thinking mobile app user, you have your own views about business and understanding and the stress of businesses, and especially when they go what's called sideways, or they go down and they're just about down and out, and the stress associated. And given our subject, turning having these essential skills to turn business failure into success, what's your view about this?
Yes, I watched the video and I found it really interesting. It's about a 3-minute video. There are about 4 founders that came on and mentioned their journey. One of them quite a few of the American ones, I just didn't recognize the names, but there was one that stood out, and that was Calendly, because people use it. It's very widely available. And I didn't realize it was started up by a Black business owner. So that was quite refreshing to see that again. But also, the thread was one of, positivity, but also what I shared with you, Stanley, was I like to balance out the fact that some of the conversation around having a business and starting it and finding it difficult and keeping going, that concept of just keeping going, it can be a very toxic thing for a human being and a business owner, simply because mental health is very fragile and anxiety creeps in, depression creeps in, you name it, when you're trying to make something happen and it's not happening. A lot of disappointment. I've been there myself, so I kind of know the feelings. It's a bit like being on a roller coaster. So my overall view of the video was that, yes, the positivity is great, but sometimes we're selling people an idea which is not attainable. And I say that, when people go into battle and they fight, the history is written by the victorious. The person that wins writes the victory notes. And the people that have fallen by the wayside, they're not mentioned. And I think in business, we need to be a little bit more honest about this concept of just keeping going. I think there's some positivity in there, of course, but I think I'd want to balance it with a bit of common sense, which is sometimes you need to know when to stop. You can call it pivot, call it what you want, but stop, review what you're doing, and try something else. It might be completely different. So you have to be open-minded to that. So that's my spin on that, Stanley.
Great, excellent. Well, let's get some thoughts here. Hit that *6, folks. Love to get your thoughts about business. Have you tried a business and failed and decided that you weren't going to do that anymore? Have you been in business, running someone else's company or business or team, and you were pretty much near death, and somehow you were able to get through? Or just your thoughts in general about the video that we shared with you. Were you surprised that Steve, for example, that the founder and creator of Calendly was a Nigerian? So love to get your thoughts. We're going to go to our phone lines. Hit that *6 at any point, folks, in LinkedIn or YouTube. Feel free to leave a comment in the chat. Let's start first with Carla Hill. Carla, thanks for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about turning business failure into success. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, Stanley. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Wonderful, and I'm the newest Power Thinking member. Right on, I love the story in terms of the career fit and saying that sometimes it is time to pivot, and that doesn't mean we should that root cause. And thank you for also reminding us skills, right? We focusing on it. Why I love that video, that content specifically, it was so much information from both sides, the preventative skills, the reactive skills required to build a business. And I've done a career pivot where I've retired from a 35-year career and started building my career planning practice as the last 5 years that I was, or the last 4 years that I was employed by the city of Philadelphia. And I have to say, if it wasn't just like this morning, you opened up, oh, I love doing power thinking, I never get tired. I think that's the challenge. The challenge is because there are going to be rough times. And I think of what I share with a lot of my clients, the word enthusiasm, when you break it down, En is in the Greek. En is in, Theos, God, and asm is breath. It's like what gives you that enthusiasm in whatever business you're going to do. Another career planning quote I use is, your passion is your life's purpose seeking outward expression. If I didn't have that, I don't know if I would have the resilience to go through the ups and downs. So that's why I'm here for the past 7 years and becoming that resilience practitioner. It's a daily walk. So again, thank you for your vision and being here.
Well, thank you, Carla. Really appreciate it. And Joy, what are your thoughts about what Carla mentioned?
I think you're going to have to repeat some of that for me, if you don't mind, Stan, simply because I'm not picking it up clearly in my headphones. And it sounded like a great conversation there. So just share me some of the highlights and I can feedback on that.
Carla, if you're still there, I think one of the main points was about the pivot, correct?
Correct. Joy shared that she pivoted. And I think part of realizing success in business is realizing what you want to pivot to, right? And pausing and reflecting of, and this is a large part of my practice, the foundation of what's in you, assessing personality, interests, skills, and values, because you're going to need to know to have that enthusiasm of getting over the bad times. And I could not just be a business, I couldn't be a business owner of something that would be generic to me, because I wouldn't have that, the variable, the superpower to power over that. And what you talked about, Stanley, this morning when you came on, and I don't know if it was intentional, you said, oh, I just love doing this. I never get tired. Like that's the difference. It was something else that you were not designed to do. I don't know if you would be doing it as well as you're doing it, or have the resilience to power through. So a large part is, for me, I've taken my 35 years of human resources experience, my love for connecting and helping people reach their goals, but the technical skills of knowing career planning, knowing occupation, knowing skill sets, firing people over 35 years and knowing that they're not bad people, they're just not aligned with their design. So I am committed to helping people find the design to avoid the mediocrity of what comes out in services or someone's life. But if I didn't see it that way, and what I think people may not see it that way, but that's the way I see it. And that gives me that enthusiasm to power through the ups and downs.
Got it. Great, Carla. Joy, the main thing is that passion, the role of passion in one's ability to bounce back when you're facing those tough times in business.
I loved what was it Carla was saying. I loved that, because the passion is like it's like the fire that's inside your belly, isn't it? It's there. You don't notice it when it's burning brightly, but when it starts to disappear, you notice it. So I mentioned that I worked for companies where I really didn't have that fire, and the fire was actually going out. And what it manifested for me as was depression and anxiety. So I'm very, very careful about watching my inner energy. You can call it your soul, your spirit, your life force, wherever you come from. But If that isn't burning brightly, then there's a problem. So pay attention to your physical signs. And I love the fact that, doing something that you love is the ultimate place to get to. There are some places along the way, if you're working for other people, where you're not doing things that you love. Obviously, when you're in business, you set something up that you are passionate about. But this pivoting part of it, you have to recognize when perhaps it's not doing that for you anymore. And it's okay to pivot, to change, to move away from it. So that's why I said with the video, the danger was in the what I call the toxic kind of culture around keep going, don't worry if your arms dropped off or your legs dropped off or you're in debt or you're whatever, victory is just around the corner. You have to really take that with a spoonful of salt. I think that's the right way around, but take that with a little bit of precaution, because really it depends on your resources to keep going. And that can be monetary resources. It can be people behind you that believe in what you're doing, and they help you and they support you. So I would say doing what you love is the ultimate place to go, but don't feel bad if you're not in the position to do that right now. If you're running a business, I think it is the life force of your business.
Great. Thanks, Joy. And let's go next to Leslie Flowers. Leslie, thanks for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about turning business failure into success. Welcome.
Thank you, Stanley. Calling in from Raleigh, North Carolina. And Joy, so glad to see you as a new Power Thinking app user, and member of the community. So, what I want to share with you was a way to pivot with power. Now, I spent 2.5 years teaching Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, plus leadership, plus universal laws, in a 12-week program that went for 2.5 years with 12 cohorts. And it started with me teaching for 2 12-week periods with the CEOs. And I think that is where it starts. It has to start there. So how you get around not being passionate, as Joy so eloquently articulated, that we feel when we're working, and we're working for a paycheck, right? So we may not have that burning desire. It's interesting that I heard you mention burning and for passion, and of course, in Think and Grow Rich, it's burning desire based on a definite purpose, which you don't know how to achieve. So the way I taught and used this work, once the CEOs passed off on this program, which brought them in millions based on setting and achieving goals every time, was that their focus is on service. So yes, they've got their paycheck. So their goal and their passion isn't about money, because that's covered. And let's face it, when we're in corporate, very often that's what we lead with is money, based on the fear of poverty. So in this instance, when you're already in a company where you have your paycheck, it could seem that you've lost that burning desire. But if you believe in the mission and vision of the company, and this was emerging medical devices, which are already in the world. One of them you put over your door and it kills COVID 99%. And I happened to be there when these devices were being created.
Right.
So their passion became service, not only to the public, but to one another. So they literally transferred their burning desire from money, which is what most of us honestly are looking for when we work for others, honestly, the tough thing, to service to others. So letting go of money being the focus and shifting from ego into service, right, which is a faith side of things, they were able to resurrect the burning desire. And the whole company learned all these things. And together in 2.5 years, they achieved 100 of the company's projects and contracts, and they were with all sorts of different kinds of companies.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
they achieved them, and it was documented. So I just wanted to say that burning desire is a choice.
Yep.
And if you can set aside your fear of poverty and absolute deep desire to have money, you can replace it in your thoughts with service.
Excellent.
It always works. Thanks for letting me share.
Excellent. Thank you, Leslie. Really appreciate it. Gets back to the point you made about that fire in the belly and joy. I worked for a guy, entrepreneur, turned around his cable systems and a music video channel called The Box, which is in the UK. It was very popular in the UK in the 90s. And when he would talk to someone about a business, he would always try to get a feel for, based on how they talked about their business, where they may have needed money or whatever. And the term he used was fire in the belly. If they had that fire in the belly, going back to the passion that Leslie was talking about, then they had a shot. Not necessarily about just getting straight to success, but to be able to withstand the setbacks and the disappointment and the failures. And it was interesting because with the work that we have here, the 7 Inner Strengths and 7 Skills, which came from the company I acquired, the person that sold me the company, some of you may have heard that when I replayed my interview with him, he said the reason that he sold it to me was that he felt that I had the perseverance and the passion to see this thing to success, because they shut it down. They dumped millions of dollars into it. And after 5 years, they said, we're done. And I said, well, I think I can do something with it. So Joy, any additional thoughts about, and it gets back to our inner strength of self-efficacy, the belief that you have control over your ability to succeed. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to be successful, right? But what it does is give you a better shot because you have that passion.
At the end of the day, what is it that keeps us motivated? It comes down to motivation, doesn't it? And, at the beginning of the day, we've got to be motivated in the first place to get out of bed. That's a very interesting one. So what makes you want to get out of bed? There's motivation required there. As you go through the day, it's about doing something which you feel is meaningful and purposeful. So if you have your own business, hopefully you've created that meaning and purpose for yourself. If you're working for somebody else, whether, we call it an intrapreneur, you're working as an entrepreneur, but within somebody else's company, again, do you have meaning and purpose in your work? Sometimes that's not controlled by you, that's controlled by somebody else. So coming back to knowing that that is a requirement for anything that you do, whether it is, doing your tax returns, doing some filing, making a phone call, it's how can you bring enthusiasm and energy behind everything that you do. So I'm really looking into energy at the moment, and as the thing that motivates us, it's invisible. So it's a bit like oxygen. We can't see it, so we don't actually pay much attention to it. But without energy, without enthusiasm, without that fire in your belly, actually nothing happens, even down to the basics of getting up in the morning, getting dressed, making yourself something to eat. These things don't happen. So I work with stress and anxiety and depression. So it's about recognizing the signs that the way that I'm behaving right now is a sign of a lower state. Recognizing what is causing it. So I call it catching the thought and then checking it. What is it? You're very good at challenging it, looking at the thought biases, what's going on, what's the thinking, and then changing it. So life is a process of things always happening. There's always a problem that needs to be solved, and you need a kind of a pathway through it. So the ideas that you teach, Dan, I'm just really just behind them. So thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to go to Olu next. I want to welcome again the folks who joined us on LinkedIn, including Leslie and Jackie Hallberg. And we have Christine Marielle Corpin, who's a CEO. We have Karun K, who's from South Africa. And thank you for joining us. We have Ashif, who's joined us from Toronto, Canada, on LinkedIn, and others. So I just wanted to give a shout out to a few of the folks who joined us there. Let's go to Olu next. Olu, thank you for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about our subject today, turning business failure into success. Welcome.
Hey, hi, Stanley.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm Olu calling in from Lekki, Lagos, Nigeria. And this is always kind of like my weekly highlight. I look forward to the space. It's one of the spaces I've joined now for quite a while and I've stuck with, because I think eventually value would determine, where we spend our time ultimately. So I love spending time with people, hearing their, shares from all over the world and all that, their own peculiar experiences. It enriches my own understanding, so it's actionable intelligence that I can use in real time directly in my life.
Good.
So about success, I found out that we've actually built a humanity that seems to focus on success so much. I'm not going to preach, I'm not going to grandstand too much, but we have so many things that I feel that I've observed over the years as I've grown up, losing that protection, that shield, of the covering that my parents provided when I had no idea what the world was about, where the food came from, and so many things, the cars and all those things. Now I know. I found out that there's so many things that are not in place in the world. I think we prioritize the wrong things.
Yeah.
Success is actually failure, that we continue to work on as a result of the insight, the intelligence gathered from that failure. There can't be success without failure. It's not possible. If a person succeeds, it's because they've learned. And the only way they would have learned is because somebody had done that thing before and has the knowledge for that particular process that will lead to the particular outcome. So we should be focusing. Failure is incredible. It empowers you. It does a lot of things apart from the fact that it provides us with intelligence that will lead us to success. It expands our consciousness. It does something to the way we walk, to the way we stand, to the way we deal with unforeseen events. It means that even though things come up that we were not expecting, we're more resilient to handle them.
That's right.
We can be more relaxed instead of panicking, becoming all flustered and all of those things, and even making more mistakes and complicating things and all that. So that has been my experience.
Good.
And there's something about what Joyce said that appealed to me. I'm a founder. I have a registered company since 2010. But the thing is that in my opinion, I don't get too focused on a particular path, for any reason. It's the outcome I'm interested in.
Yep.
I stopped running my business, because I realized that there were certain things that were just not within, my grasp at the time. So what I do now is I work with other people, to what they have. And the interesting thing, I had a discussion about this with someone that I'm working with in Australia today. The interesting thing is that when I work with other people to build what they are building, in actual sense, I'm actually contributing to building mine. The reason why that is so is because as I build with them, I get some income, I get connections, I get opportunities. Which means that when I start working on mine, I'm not going to be in the same place.
Good. Thank you. We appreciate that, Olu. Your final thoughts about that, and then let's wrap it, Joy, and give us your thoughts on how people can get in touch with you.
Yes, well, Olu, that was just great stuff. I loved what you had to say, and I love the fact that you have redefined. Well, you said we have to define what success is for us, and we have to make sure that in helping other people, we're making sure that we can keep going. So there's a circular thing that's going on there. There's a cycle going on there. So I love that whole thing about there's a cycle of doing something, getting the feedback, feeding that back into the loop. So that is how you define success for yourself. And failures are mistakes that happen, which you learn something from. So I just love that. I'm on LinkedIn, guys. You can find me, Joy Langley. Connect with me, please do. I'd love to have you in my connections. Also, you can contact me via my website. My website is joylangley.com. You can find that too. But LinkedIn is the main place to connect with me on, I would say. So Stan will hopefully drop some information in for you to find me. And it's been a pleasure talking today. I've enjoyed hearing everybody else's views. It's an exciting place to be. So thank you, Stan.
And of course, Joy, right after this, you can leave the information right there in the Power Thinking group in my chat on the app. So, and if you have any graphics or anything that you'd like to leave, or a document or a one pager about what you do, you can leave that there as well. So everyone, thank you very much for being with us. We'll be going over those 7 inner strengths and skills in the app. The documents are there. We'll be, sending push notifications to keep you enlightened, to welcome new members like the ones that I mentioned a little earlier, when just joined yesterday. Folks will be joining today. If you haven't joined us on the app, feel free to go to the Google Play or the Apple Store, download Power Thinking Corp app, and we will see you there. I will go to the phone lines and thank the folks who have stayed and joined us as we wrap up. Appreciate you being with us. I see Claudia, folks that I did not mention. It was a wireless caller. And Samuel, good to see you. And Pei Kowalski, great to see you. Some of the folks I've already mentioned. Thank you. And I see someone here from, it looks like from, I don't know where that is, but we thank you for joining us as well. Make it a fantastic day, everybody. We'll see you tonight. Tonight we have Annie Osung, who's from the UK. This is UK Day for Power Thinking. UK is a Power Thinking app. Annie is a Power Thinking app user who does many events on LinkedIn, and we're really happy to have him. He'll be talking about business from his perspective this evening. Make it a great one, everyone. We'll see you then. And on our platforms, our 5 platforms, Joy, again, thank you so much. And I want to thank the folks that have joined us on LinkedIn. We appreciate you as well. Make it a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you soon.